Okay, so this is a vintage style Singer machine. So it's a nice sturdy machine. And you've got the spool here, which you can just see at the shot of the camera, that I'm going to put the thread on top. Then the first hook that you put the thread is here. So you don't want to go round. That's for when we wind the bobbin on. So what you want to do is make sure it goes through this hook. Then I'm coming into the hook here and then round the tension dial. And as I come round, I'm pulling it up and into the second part of the hook. And then as I pull, it should just automatically thread itself. It might just need a little help. There you go. So I've just pulled it gently and it's threaded around the tension dial. Now with this old machine, you have to actually thread through this top lever. So there's a hole here. So I'm going to thread through. So far I've gone along, down, round, and then through this eye here. And again, there's another kind of round spool here. So what I do is I pull the thread to the back and then bring it round to the front. And that just pops it through. If you find that a bit tricky, you can just thread it through the hole. Now put the presser foot down, it makes it easier to thread the needle. Just going to trim the thread. If I trim the thread at a slight angle, that also makes it a little bit easier. And then pull it through. So the thread goes from front through to the back. And I'm going to leave that long piece loose. Now with the bobbin, it's running anti-clockwise. So I'm going to place it in the machine. And there's two discs. I'm just going to move the camera slightly. So you can see there's two little grooves there. So I'm just going to put it in that first groove and then through to the back. And then just make sure, pull it gently to make sure it's running anti-clockwise. Now lift up the presser foot. I'm going to pull the wheel towards me to bring the needle down, and then it catches the thread from the bobbin, and there's just a loop there, you can see. So what I do with the loop, I just get some scissors or with your finger and pull it through. These threads have got a bit long, so I'm just going to trim them so they don't get knotted. Pull it under the presser foot, close the plate, and then just test on a piece of fabric that it's working. What you have to be careful with this machine is because you want the stitch length to be on, stitch width to be on 2.5, but sometimes the spring has gone a little bit, so sometimes you might find it goes over to 4. So you just want to make sure it stays on that, so just keep your eye on it. And the other thing to check for is just to make sure that the tension, so this is the tension dial, so you can, if this is a cotton fabric, not too thick, so we want the tension to be quite high, so it's on about right here at 4. If I had a much thicker fabric, I would make the tension less, so maybe down to a 2. If it was much finer, I would put it up to maybe about a 5. But it's best if you test it on a piece of fabric, and then you can see if it. So you can see on here, that's the front. It's running nice and flat, and on the back, it's also running nice and flat. If it was pulling, then you know your tension's too tight, or if it's too loose, you can feel on the stitches and the tension's too loose.